from the 757 Spy flight deck. Recognize the airport? We are at London Heathrow. Oh, I hit this a little bit fast. Let's do it this way. We are in X-Plane today, and there is an airplane that over on the Spy Flight on Twitch, people have been talking about for quite a while. And it should be coming to our flight simulators pretty quickly. It's this one right here. This is the A-310, and this is coming to us from AnyBuilds. Hello, my name is Dave. I do the Spy Flight over on Twitch, and as we zoom on in, you can see that this is an old Airbus. Hi, thanks for coming on in. Beach shirts had to go here because it all of a sudden started to get a little bit chilly here. But gotta tell you, I'm really excited about this airplane. This is an old Airbus, but this is a cross-the-pond capable Airbus. So this is an old Airbus that we can do a long haul in. And right now over in Microsoft Flight Simulator, we don't have an awful lot of long haulers that are really, really good. And this one is a really, really good long haul airplane. You can see it's got the classic Airbus fence on the wingtips there. And if you look, it seems like it's a little bit shorter of an airplane here. This is a wide body, and this was shorter than the original A300, but Airbus shortened it up a little bit so that it could go across the pond. So I think for the next cross the pond on VATSIM, there's going to be a lot of these airplanes flying along. It's coming as a part of the 40th anniversary edition of Microsoft Flight Simulator, which, according to the last little bit of information that I have, is going to be here on Friday. So we could be flying this really cool airplane. So what am I doing with this thing today? We are in X-Plane 11. And we're at Heathrow Airport. I was going to do a full flight. Now, I've got no inside information about how the A310 is going to be working once we get into Microsoft Flight Simulator. So some of the things that we're talking about here might not be exactly what we're going to see in Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is the X-Plane version. But given the reputation that the developer has, AnyBuilds, I'm really expecting some really good things. This is going to be a really, really nice airplane. So what are we going to be doing today? Well, our flight today is in the AnyBuilds A310, the passenger version. There were a number of A310s that were converted to cargo. Sadly, an awful lot of those airplanes have been allowed to, well, they got rid of them, they scrapped them and retired them. There are a lot of A300s that are still flying. In fact, two of them, two old A300s fly into my hometown airport every morning with FedEx and UPS, which is kind of cool. So this is the X-Plane version. On Friday, we'll see this airplane arrive in Microsoft Flight Simulator, assuming there's no delays with the 40th anniversary update. Add-ons that I'm using are Navigraph, SimBrief, and SimToolkit Pro, along with charts. I'm using Active Sky for my X-Plane 11 weather, and Better Pushback is a little thing that I'm using too. We are flying a real-world route today. Lufthansa flies airplanes between London Heathrow and Frankfurt all the time, several a day. So we're taking one of those routes with real weather and real time. AnyBuilds A310 is indeed coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator. It is coming as a passenger version, so we're going to fly a passenger version today. Here's our route. It says London-LHR. Uh-oh. I need to fix that. We're actually doing London Heathrow. So let me go and put a little L in there because, gee, well, Notepad doesn't really have spell check. So sorry about that. It's London Heathrow over to Frankfurt, departing off at 27 right. We are doing the D2 Foxtrot departure. A couple of airways on our way out to the UNOKO K3 Alpha arrival. Frankfurt is running, landing on 25 left. I do like to mention that I'm using real-world weather. This is a recorded video. You're probably watching it perhaps days afterwards, so your weather and your runways may be different from mine. Flight time today is 1 hour and 30 minutes. It's 400 nautical miles. And wow, this is a really cool looking airplane. These old Airbuses were definitely different. And one of the things that, you know, people kind of go, wow, I didn't know that is, well, it's this thing right here. It's an Airbus, but it's got a yoke. Yes, this is before we got the classic Airbus side stick. Now, if you look over here, you can also see three positions for the landing gear lever, like a Boeing. There's gear down, gear up, and gear neutral is what they call it in an Airbus. So that, of course, went away. The throttles, they don't look quite like Airbus, but they sort of work the same way. Now, as far as your controllers are concerned, I'm using the Thrustmaster TCA Airbus Captain's Pack. And I will tell you that that works very, very well with this airplane. So we're doing pretty good as far as controllers, and I don't really have too many issues. As we look over here, this is our flight plan for today. I'm using the Lido style of charts that comes out of SimBrief. And this gives me all the information. Cruise, it doesn't give me a cost index. It says we're going to be flying at Mach 8.0. So that's pretty, that's a good speed for us today. One of the things that I've been learning about these older Airbuses is you tend to lose, if you don't plan step climbs for a longer haul airplane, so as you burn off fuel, the airplane gets lighter, so you should go a little bit higher to increase the efficiency of the engine. If you don't do that, your fuel calculations tend to start going down a little bit, and that makes it really kind of hard if you're doing across the pond. So that's something we need to start learning a little bit about when we take this airplane on across the pond. The upper panel is... it's a little like an Airbus. There's some Airbus stuff in here, but there's some stuff that actually isn't. Shall we get started with all the little buttons and stuff that we have to push here? All right, so the first thing that I usually do is this is our electronic flight bag, and I start with ground ops on this airplane. Go to ground services. The first thing I'm going to do is put in chocks. Some airports are not even, and if you don't have your brakes set, you start to roll around. We're going to go ahead and connect external power, and we don't need air stairs or anything like that today. We do have a jetway here, so that's good, but you can put in air stairs, and in fact, I don't think that my jetway works here at Heathrow. So, well, let's go ahead and do the air stairs. Why not? So come on back here, and let's put some air stairs in, and we're going to put air stairs in the 1L and the 4L. So those are those entrances back there, and if we go outside the airplane, oh my gosh, here comes our air stairs, and it's also pre-opened our doors for us. So even though I've got a gate over here, the jetway isn't working, so we have air stairs so the passengers can get up there. So that looks good. Let's return here. There are loaders that you can bring in, and your forward and aft loaders. This is going to be for cargo, so suitcases and stuff, and this is also going to go ahead and open up your cargo containers too. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so we got those. Let's go ahead and return here. So I don't need an air starter unit, and we don't need pushback right now. So we're going to return here, and let's go to the load sheet. To load this airplane, it's really pretty simple. You need a 0 fuel weight and a fuel number, and that's all it takes to load the airplane. What I was just showing you with the air stairs and the loaders is not something that you've got to worry about. So over here on our Lido style of charts, our 0 fuel weight is 102,748 kgs. But if you come on down here, it's going to give you a 0 fuel weight of 102.7 and fuel of 10.1. And that is all you need. So these are your two numbers, ZFW and fuel on page 3. And this is what we're going to put in here. So let's pop them in. Take your little pointer, click it in there, and then with the keyboard, 102.7. Enter. Okay, so then we're going to go to fuel on board, 10.1. Enter. All right, so that's looking pretty good there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to hit load, payload, and fuel. So it's going to compute some stuff. And this, I believe, technically, airplane's loaded. We can go. We don't have to board passengers or anything like that. They're there sitting in their seats ready to go and do that passenger thing. There is a number here. See where it says center of gravity, 26.7? This is a number that you need a little bit later. So if you've noticed and you've gone and grabbed my flight strip that I use here, the notepad thing, I've got a little, if you've been wondering what these little blanks in the percentage are for this is to remind me to write down 26.7, because it's kind of hard to get back to this screen once you start processing stuff. in the electronic flight bag to get to that number. So that's why it is that you write that down. Okay? Now we're done with numbers. It's time to start doing what flight sim pilots really like to do, start flipping buttons and switches. And the first thing we're going to do is turn on the battery here, and that's the this is the on switch for an Airbus. 3 batteries. 1, 2, 3. All 3 are going on, and I'm assuming that this is startup procedure is going to very probably be what we get in the Microsoft version of this. The next thing we're going to do is external power, and that's going to pop everything on. And I guess there were some pretty loud blowers in these old Airbuses. I'm also going to go ahead. The galley power has been shed right now. We're going to connect that in so that we can make sure that we get our coffee hot and beer cold and all the other things that you need in a galley. And as you can see, our airplane is indeed slowly coming to life. Looking down here, let's go ahead. I do have chocks in place, so I'm going to go ahead and do parking brakes off because we do again have chocks in place. And you can even kind of see the chocks down here, nicely modeled. So we're good with our chocks and we can turn off the brakes. Okay, so next thing I'd like to do is come down here, and we've got a big knob here. It's one of those double knobs too. And so you can see pedestal and panel, overhead light. So I'm going to turn this up, and there's the pedestal and panel, and then here is our overhead lights. And you can see now everything is kind of lit up here. So that's looking really good. Now then, you notice the main instrument panel is not well lit. So what we need to do is we're going to look down here at this, and you come down here, and there's our 2 little knobs for this. Captain and center instrument lights. And so we're going to turn those up too. This is a made floodlight for nighttime. And now all of a sudden things are looking good. The only thing that isn't lit is our autopilot. And now we've got our autopilot all lit up too. Just makes it easier to see all this stuff. Now then, this airplane, and I don't know if this is going to work with Microsoft Flight Simulator or not. I think that perhaps the SimBrief, so you can put in your SimBrief username, and that's going to get flight plans. There's more data, though, that you can get for this airplane using the Hoppy ACARS system. So I don't know if Hoppy's going to work with this or not, but if you come over here to ACARS main and you've inputted your SimBrief username, then you should be able to go and do the company route. And all we have to do is click it. So here we are. And let's kind of come down here and let's click company route. And it flashes. And if it flashes, that's all you need to know. It's gone and done stuff. A way to check and look up here, it says company route uplink done. That's pretty cool. Now, the wind data, I don't know if that's going to come through SimBrief. I think that does come through Hoppy ACARS. I'm not sure. I don't remember. It's been a while since I set this up. But you can see it's pending. And ACARS wind data received. So yeah, I think that that's Hoppy ACARS. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear this line and we're going to insert our wind data. And our wind data is inserted and all of that's good. So all of this is looking pretty good. Let's go back to ACARS ATC. Let's do weather request. And what we're going to do is we're going to request a METAR. So METAR, and we are at EGLL. I don't know, again, I think this is something that comes through the ACARS system, but it's actually pretty cool, and if this is modeled, that's going to be great. And here's our ATC log, EGLL, there's our weather. EGLL, light rain, well, that's not surprising. Broken, altimeter 1004, it's overcast at 30,300. Now, you see where it says print? Let's print it. Do you hear some noise here? Oh, look at that. There is our ACAR. There is our METAR. You can also, if we were on VATSIM, you could also, if there's a digital ATIS available, you can print that up too. So this is an incredibly cool thing. It's not just a goofy little gimmick. So you tear it off, and look at that. It's right up here where you need it. And if this was our ATIS or something, wow, that's really nice. So this is actually a really helpful thing. Yeah, it's a cute little thing that we get to play with. Okay, so let's come on down here. Company route uplink is done. And we're going to go to nav accuracy is downgraded. That's normal too. Let's go to the FMS and check your nav data. Nav data comes into this airplane through Navigraph. Just like everything else, I'm going to assume that this is going to work for us too. All right. So airplane is really coming to life nicely here. Let's go over here, and I'm going to, we're going to have to go up a little bit in the panel. So we kind of come up here in the panel, and we've got 3 switches. So we've got this one up here. And so this is IRS number 1, IR number 1, maybe not S. So we just go to nav. It like a new Airbus, it says that battery operate. It says it's connected to the battery, and now it's in align mode. We'll come over here. That's the middle one. I think we need to do the right one next. So same thing, battery operated. And then it's going to say align mode, and we're going to slide over here, and we're going to do the same thing with the middle one. And all 3 of them are now in align mode. So we're good to go there. The flight manual says one of the things that you do is you come over here and you go to ground control on the flight recorder. So that means that if you push the wrong button and blow up the airplane, the flight recorder's working for you there. And that's really good too. Okay, we powering up the airplane. One of the things I've forgotten to do is nav and logo lights. Today that I'm recording this, this is the 7th, so that's an odd day, so I use nav and logo light system number 1. They are identical. There's a number of schemes that you can use to determine which one you're going to use. That's the one I'm using. Let's go over here. Just like an Airbus, we're going to flip the master switch for the APU. It says low pressure in the fuel pump. When the light goes out, you can go ahead and hit the start button, and that's going to get the APU going. And I assume, like most airplanes, we're going to hear the APU start up back here. Well, that was almost like I planned it. I'm not too terribly impressed with our rain and overcast skies here. What are we doing for weather? It's set up on, I'm going to hit load new meet. Oh, no. From custom METAR. I'm going to guess that this is good. I don't know. Let's not mess with it. I just don't feel like that's our current weather. It's been a while since I've been in X-Planes, so there you go. Okay, so coming on down here, let's do, and sorry about the little sniff there. I think it's fall, winter, cold time. Align IRS. So we go to the init page and see where it says align. If you've gone and downloaded your flight plan, all you do is hit align and you're done. And then you can clear this. Do the alignment before you clear it because you forget. You know, we're humans, we forget things. Now, looking at our flight plan, our alternate is EDDL. So EDDL, it doesn't put that in from your flight plan. So pop that in and just return. And that just gives you that. Okay, everything's looking good. DLH 441, flight level 350. And that looks not so bad to me. Come on up here. And we should have an APU up, and if it says available like it does, you can slide over here and there's a APU bleed switch. So we're going to get the bleed switch turned on. We do have passengers boarding, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go no smoking now. They're fueling the airplane. You just turn that on to begin the flight. Okay, let's get our flight plan done. So F plan. And there is our route. Looks perfect. So let's go and do the top line where it says the airport. Click that one and then do SID. Our departure runway for today is 27 right. So let's see. I'm just going to go and look. We may go to the left side. Just let's see. So here we all are over at beautiful London Heathrow. We're down here in the International Terminal 4. 27 right, so it does have us going over and doing the taxi over here. So we're going to go past the K terminal. That's not that long of a taxi. So let's go ahead and do 27 right. We're doing DEET to Foxtrot. DEET to Foxtrot, and insert that into the flight plan. And there is our departure. Quick check of the departure. is always a good thing to do for your top altitude, especially out of London. So after takeoff, we're going to make a loop-de-loop to the right, come out here, and our top altitude is 6,000 feet. This is important here in the London area too. If you're flying on VATSIM, don't just go blasting up through the atmosphere. I did that once, and you end up getting in the way of some of the other airports. So now that we know that, oh, we can't put it, I was going to put in the altitude. Why not? Well, these numbers are not going to show up until after the alignment is done. And you also have to flip some switches, but I'll show you those. So this is a process where I would be putting in my cleared altitude. Nope, can't do that yet. So let's just go down here and continue. So there we go. There's Ferdy. There, oh, Sierra Papa India Spy, a very good waypoint. And then EDDF, there is our airport. So click that one and do star. We are coming in right now. Frankfurt is landing 25 left. So 25 ILS 25 left. We're doing the Uno Kilo 3 Alpha. So Uno, there's several Unos. Make sure you get the right one. 3 Alpha. And then you're going to probably get something like this DF626. If you've looked at your charts ahead of time and you've looked at the arrival, you can see that we're coming in at UNOKO, and then we're coming over here. You see we've got a checkpoint here called 626. Look at the ILS. I'll bet we got another one out here, 626. Yeah, that's going to be our transition. 626 into the ILS and insert that. Okay, there's our flight plan. All of this is looking good. There is going to be one area of vectors between 416 and 626. And then that takes us right to the runway. We have got a flight plan and it is working. Uh-oh, there goes food services. Now then, we got a cool little thing here that says send to performance. So let's go ahead and do the takeoff performance page. Not a lot there. So let's go ahead and send all of our performance data in, and we get a whole new screen. So ICAO, you put your target pointer in there, EGLL, and enter, and then come on over here, and you've got a list of runways. If you've got a list of runways that goes all the way down through this big long gray box and you can't get to something down here, just go in here and type in the first few numbers of your runway and it'll put it in for you. Like, let's do this right now. Let's do 25 left. So click it, 25 left. Enter, and that'll get it for you. Very cool. Now let's get FMC data. Don't have FMC data yet. I don't think I have everything set up yet. Oh, you know what? I don't. We need to go to page 2. I forgot to do init page 2. So you can see there's a little arrow and to the right here, so do next page. And now we can go ahead and do init page 2. Our zero fuel weight, we can take it right off the flight plan. It's 102.7. 102.7. This airplane does not give you an updated zero fuel weight. When you load the passengers, that's your passengers. Block fuel is 10.1. There we go. Oh, CG, remember that number that I wrote down? It's hard to go back over into the electronic flight bag. This is why I write it down here. 26.7. So 26.7. There we go. Now all of that data is in, and now I'll bet we can go over here and click the FMC data button. Look at that. It automatically populates. How about that? That's pretty cool. Let's request data. This is our current weather at London Heathrow. And while we're waiting, this is a good time for the pilot to enjoy coffee. All right, everything's looking good here. Wind 090 at 10. That does not equate to what it is that I have. So this is completely different. And I think that I've got some problem with my weather right now. But let's go with these numbers right now. Our runway is dry, anti-ice is off. That is our takeoff weight. Configuration 15 and 15, that's slats and flaps. I leave my air conditioning on and we're going to flex. So let's do compute. And it's computing. Uh-oh, this looks really, really good. So V1, VR, V2, we're flexing to 59 degrees, flaps 15, 15. So everything looks good. You can send this data over to the flight management computer. And so we've done that. And things are going good. Received takeoff company data, clear. Let's go to takeoff and approach. And everything is good except for our V2. So that's looking great. All right, I think things are slowly coming together here. Are we almost done aligning? No, we're still aligning. So there's a couple of switches that we need to start flipping around up here. And one of the things that we need to turn on soon is going to be pitch trim, yaw trim, and ATS, auto thrust systems. But until everything is aligned, we can't do those. So what we can do is we can come over here and we can turn on our window heaters. Let's do those. Let's see, smoke detectors are off. Let's do this isolation valve up here. Let's do that oxygen switch. All we're doing is basically turning off white lights. And that's probably pretty good for now. All of this is looking good too. Nothing else to worry about here. Our, let's see, the QNH is 1016. So we can go 1016 here in the altimeter. And I believe this airplane, you can set your altimeters to do all of your, you can set the altimeters, do one and it takes care of them all. That's a little bit less immersion for some people, but we get so busy in these cockpits. If I can save myself having to go and set the co-pilot's altimeter and the backup altimeter, it does make life a little bit easier. Let's look up here. It's, oh, look at this. Our lights are out. Look at that. I'll bet it says nav accuracy upgraded. GPS primary is set. So we're good to go there. Remember those three switches I was talking about? Now we can actually flip them. So we're going to turn on pitch trim, yaw dampers, and ATS. If you try to turn those on before everything's lined up, those things just turn back off again and you go, what? And so I was sitting there for like half an hour until I read the manual. I know that's what we're all supposed to do, but we don't do that. Oh, and look at this. Now all of a sudden we can set an altitude. How about that? 6,000 feet, that's our top altitude on the SID. So we're gonna go to 6,000 feet. We can also set our runway heading for departure. And here at Heathrow, we're gonna be on the 27s, and that's 269 degrees. So 269 is our heading. The knobs turn really nicely on this airplane, 269. Once you learn these old Airbuses from Indy builds, it really works great. Now, speed Mach. If you look over here, V2 is set to 165. I always like to add a little bit to that for an older airplane. So what we're gonna do is dial in 175 for our first speed off the runway. 175. Okay, so that's pretty good. Everything looks good. This is set in here. We can look down here, and now let's go to tuning, and we are going to squawk 1000. So we're ready to do squawking 1000. That's all set. We're set to 122.8. Now, if you're on VATSIM, you got to come down to the radio panel here, and there's a couple of buttons you have to push. You have to hit the VHF button and turn that little light green. And now this is an interesting one. So I'm going to kind of come down and catch it from an angle. See the knob? You see how you can push it and pull it up? You got to pull it up and then dial it up. The volume level actually works on this airplane. So you can adjust your radio volume there. It's, you know, I really am pretty geeky about the Indy Builds airplanes. I think they do an incredibly good job. Now then, we are going to flex to 59 degrees. So that is down here. So let's come on down here. And what we're going to do is we're in takeoff mode already, but we're going to flex and dial this up to 59 degrees. While you're here, the landing elevation is over here and it's kind of hidden. So now's a great time to grab your chart for Frankfurt. And Frankfurt is 364. So the closest is going to be 350. So there's 100 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet, and 350. And that's about as close as you're going to get. And we're all set up for that. Okay, this is looking good. This is looking good. So we can come on down here. And it says ATC TCAS. We're almost ready for pushback. Let's go ahead and button up the airplane. All of this information is good, so we're clear there. Let's go to ground ops. We're going to go to exits, and you can see we have the 1L and 4L are open, and so are our cargos. So let's return here. Ground services. Let's go to get rid of the loader, and we can close those loader doors now, and we can go to the air stairs and close those. Okay, and if we go out here, you can start to see, oh, we buttoned up the airplane pretty good. It was all pretty fast, wasn't it? APU is up and running, so let's go ahead and get off of shore power. So, important safety tip, okay? Seriously, this has happened to me. Big camera time. Timeout. Important safety tip, okay? Before you go and start flipping generators and stuff around, make sure that your next power source is ready to go, okay? So before you turn off external power, make sure that the APU generator the light is out. Because when you turn off power, if you do on this airplane, your whole thing goes completely dark. And you've got to do all of this startup stuff all over again. Same thing here, external power, make sure you've disconnected your ground power before all that's happened. Seriously, it's big camera, stop everything, because it's sort of like, oh man, I got to do the whole thing again. Yeah, you got to do the whole thing again. All right, so chocks remain in place. I am still using better pushback with X-Plane 11. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start our push.
Ground to cockpit. Please show me where you want to go.
And I have to say, better pushback is still an absolute gold standard for us here. I know that toolbar pushback is doing good in Microsoft, but...
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Okay, we're good to go there. So let's go ahead and we're going to squawk mode Charlie on the taxiways. So just click ATC TCAS. We're on Terra now. We're also going to come over here and start doing a few things. Passengers are in their seats. Let's do seatbelts. Got to get that done too. Doors are closed. I'm going to arm the emergency exit lights. And so that's good too. My probe heaters are off. Apparently they get really, really hot, and you don't turn those on until after the ground crew is away from the airplane. All right, come on over here. And come on down here. Better pushback actually is really pretty interesting.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect. Set parking brake.
Okay. Parking brake is set. Thank goodness for parking brake controllers on your Thrustmaster controllers, right? If you look here, so this is how accurate this is. They did an incredible job on this pushback truck. Okay, it got a little bit behind our wheel there, but that's okay. And so now it's going to lift up the front wheel. And you can even see it being lifted up. Like I said, I think they did an incredible job with this, and it's relatively entertaining eye candy. Okay, we're ready to go here, so let's go. Beacon is going to go on. And let's come on back here. We're going to return, and chocks are still in place, so we have to pull our chocks. Sometimes better pushback will pull your chocks for you, and sometimes it won't, so there you go. Now then, if you really want to jump in a little rabbit hole, and I do suggest it with this airplane, go to checklists. Cockpit prep is done. Signs are on. Fuel quantity is not verified. Let's verify our fuel quantity. Fuel quantity is 10.1. Perfect. We've fuel. Navigation is checked and set. Landing elevation, we set those. Altimeters are good. Brake and anti-skid is on. Doors and windows are closed. The beacon is on. The parking brake is on. And we are good with before pushback, before start. I think it's time to go. So here is our parking brake control. And it works really good. This works really good with the Thrustmaster. And here comes our pushback. Kind of a nicely done pushback here. By the way, I don't know if you know this, Unibuilds did an absolutely wonderful job of modeling the cabin. A really nice first-class cabin, a nice steerage cabin. Let's go ahead and set up a camera view here. Here's seat 10A, one of my favorite seats in an airplane. That's a pretty good camera view. That's not so bad. How about that? There's a good camera view. Let's go on back a little bit further here. So we'll walk through the cabin. One of the things that I really did like about X-Plane is it's so easy to set some views and stuff. And for some people that say, you know, nobody really cares about camera views and cabin views, sorry, we're sim pilots. Most of us are sim pilots because we really love being able to get in an airplane and go someplace. Okay, we got some nice camera views set up. Cool. Hey, we're on our pushback. We're clear of the gate. I say it's engine starting time. So we got a couple of fuel pumps to turn on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 fuel pumps are all set and ready to go. Okay, come on and look down here. Are our throttles off? They are. Let's go ahead and get ready to start. So to do that, we need the APU bleed on. It is. Here is the ignition switch up here. And we're going to do switch system number 2. So the B system today. And I usually start engine number 2 on this airplane first. So I've got a button set. It goes from yellow to open. When that happens, come on down here. We are looking for...
Set parking brake.
Parking brake is set. And we're looking for 20% on the N2. And then the starter switch on the Thrustmaster works good too. 20. My switches are reversed. My switches are reversed. Ooh, that's dangerous. And we're getting a good start on this engine. I hope. Yep, we are. Good start on this engine. And if we go outside, we can see our tug driver is disconnected. And we're doing pretty good.
Those disconnected, a bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Better Pushback actually really is a fabulous little application. And you can go ahead and once this light goes out, starter number 2, it changes from blue to yellow. You can go ahead and start your next engine. And so I just pushed my button over on my controller. The starter goes over there, and we're watching N2 go up over here. 17, 18, 19, and it always slows down for 20. 20, here comes fuel, and we're starting up that engine too. And there goes that big engine starting. Ooh, cool start sounds. So here's seat 10A, just a couple little cabin candy things here. You can see, oops, it's actually 8A. I didn't, but seatbelts, Yeah, the seatbelt signs work in here. You get flight data up here. So that's actually, they numbered the seat rows too. All right, we got 2 good starts on our engines. So look up here, and we can go and do starter back to normal. Starters back to normal. We're gonna go ahead and do APU bleed. Let me zoom in so you can see these better. So APU bleed on, and then look up here and everything sets up for your bleeds and your packs. They're clear from underneath the airplane. We're gonna do probe heaters. Let's come on down here, and the APU generator is gonna go off, so let's make sure our generators are on first. So we got the generator switched over there, and now what we can do is we can go and hit the master switch on the APU, and we're done with the APU. Come on over here, after start checks. Pitch trim. Oh, we have not set our pitch trim. You'll find that over here. Pitch trim is down 1.7. So you look down here, and it's just a big wheel. That's about 1.7, I guess, right there. I don't think it's an exact science. Rudder trim to 0. So rudder trim, there's that, and you just reset it there, and that's rudder trim to 0. Spoilers are armed. So spoilers, I'm gonna go here and you can just click the up arrow. Spoilers are armed. Slats and flaps, 15. There are more than just, I believe, 4 spots here. I don't know that I actually got the flap lever working here, so I'm using buttons. And if you look over there, you can see flaps. There goes our flaps going down. Pretty good sounds on the flaps too. And leading edge slats should be coming out. And those don't look like they've come out yet. We have an indication that they have. Okay, we've got indications for 15 and 15, so I'm going to assume that that's good. Okay, slats and flaps are good. ECAM status is clear. Anti-ice isn't needed. We've gotten our hand signal. It's time to go. So everything looks good here. Let's go ahead and we'll do the taxi light. So nose light to taxi. Cabin calls. Let's see. Storm, dome, seatbelt, CELCAL, flight attendant call button. I know it's up here. Oh, here's calls. Well, that's mechanics. I don't see a flight attendant call button, so we'll just ring the bell with the no smoking sign. There we go. That's as good as we got. So come on down here. Sit back in your chair. Parking brake is off. Tow brakes are on. Look up. And out we go. Add just a little bit of power. That's all it takes to get this airplane rolling. And out we go. So to get to our runway, we're going to come out here, do Lima, and we'll just go past Terminal 2B, and there we go. A little loud out there, and I do think my slats are down to 15. It does look like the slats are down a little bit. It just doesn't look that way. Kind of a short, stubby little airplane. But, like I said, they shortened it from the A-300 so you could go across the pond. And nose wheel steering's going to work pretty good for you. Aileron check. And I'm looking down here, so you see ailerons down there. And we're going to turn around here, and that's just going to be Lima over to our runway. If you look out the window over here as you're passing the British Airways, you can see the Concorde that's over there. Seriously, British Airways, do something more with that Concorde other than use it for storage, please. It's a cool artifact airplane. Okay, so this is looking good. This, as I recall, this was a nice little payware that I picked up. It's not bad. It doesn't have the visuals that you're gonna get in Microsoft Flight Simulator. But hey, this airplane's coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator, so we'll get the best of both worlds there. Before takeoff checks, let's go over there. Flight controls are checked. Briefing has been done. Slats and flaps are confirmed. Performance in FMS. V1 is 153, VR is 162, V2 is 175. Takeoff config. Okay, that's a little bit of an awkward button to do that. So let's slow it down just a little bit here. Okay, so this awkward little button, you see it says takeoff config here. There's the config test. See the monitor up there at the top? I think we're good. It's set. What did it say? It doesn't like a nav ADC. Oh, it wants us on nav, I believe. Is that it? Nope. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's go and do Lima and continue. I have forgotten something. I have forgotten something and I've got no idea what it is. Okay. Oh. Auto brakes should have been max. Maybe that's it. And here's our turn onto taxiway Alpha. There's our runway. Still has something enunciated that is not happy with me. I have no idea what I've done wrong. This is embarrassing, but it also means that I've still got stuff to remind myself about these airplanes. Okay, I do know that if we can go to ATC, we're going to turn on traffic. So we've got traffic on, and here we are, parking brakes. Okay, let's look over here and see if I have a clue here. Flight controls briefing, slats and flats. Transponder is set. Transponder is set, traffic is on. Tuning, that's for our radios, and that's good to go too. Let's clear that. Let's look down here, press it again, and see if it's still indicating a problem. It's not indicating a problem here. Maybe I just needed to clear it, and I have it set. So let's look over here. It's really awkward. This is meant for the co-pilot to press it. Takeoff test is normal. We are ready to go. Okay, I think that was just it. Shall we depart the scene of the crime? We just got cleared for takeoff. So in my case, I usually go strobes to on, and then we're gonna go and do the first 2 clicks of the landing lights. Parking brakes are off, and out we go. Add just a little bit of power. I'm almost wondering if there's a little crunching sound that we get as we start rolling. I wonder if that's a, little crunching sound of the tires rolling around. I think it's entirely okay to, we're taxiing out. We don't have to go out at warp factor 10. The big jet pilots don't do it that way, so why should we? That way it helps us get out there and be a little bit better lined up. And that actually was not a bad lineup there. And let's go over here, and we're going to go and do landing lights full. Landing lights are full. This airplane, like a lot of airplanes, has a button right here, the screw that you can push. So I usually will go and do throttles up to about 40% or the first detent on the thrustmaster stuff, and then hit auto thrust. There we go. Steering with rudder pedals now. Airspeed's alive. There's 80 knots. We're flexing, so it shouldn't be too surprising that we're taking up a lot of runway here. There's V1 and rotate. So long Heathrow. Landing gear. Gears going up. This does not have quite the auto trim of the newer Airbuses. Start our turn. Okay, let's go to climb power and landing gear to off. Nice gentle turn going out, and we're going direct to Epsom. Very nice view of Heathrow as we come on out. Okay, I'm going to go to profile. Didn't take it. So altitude hold, we'll just go with that right now. And we are direct to Epsom. And it's going to hold us at 6,000 feet. And we'll stay at 6,000 feet. How's our speed? Oh, speed's coming up. Flaps. There goes flaps. And we should see, let's see if we see the leading edge slats actually move here. If they are, I'm not seeing it. I will imagine that it's going to look really good when we get going here. Okay, flaps and slats are going up. Speed brakes, we'll disarm those. Speed brakes are disarmed. After takeoff check is not so bad. But let's do that little checklist. Slats and flaps are up, landing gear is up and neutral. You can't rearm the auto brakes unless you turn your landing gear to neutral. Packs are on, altimeters, transition here is 6,000 feet, so we should have done transition at 6,000 feet, and all we have to do is push the little button there, and that's 6,000 feet. Landing lights are still on. And here we are coming up to Epsom and 250 knots. I think for the next cross the pond, there is going to be a lot of these airplanes flying on VATSIM. Okay, so we've got climb power set. Everything's looking good up here. Nothing appears to be off. Like most Airbuses, you know, you check to see, are all the lights off? All the lights appear to be off. My cockpit door is still open, but that's just me desperately hoping that they bring me free pizza and beer, which the flight attendants never do. APU is off, ignition is off, beacon, strobes, landing lights. I guess we could do the nose light. We'll just turn that off. And there is our turn at Epsom, and we are direct Dietling, and still holding 6,000 feet so that we don't get in the way of airplanes arriving at Gatwick and London, London City, and probably arriving aircraft here at beautiful Heathrow. We can also turn on constraints, and you can see our 6,000 foot constraint is still in place. Now, if traffic's not a factor, ATC, of course, does want to speed us on our way. So our final cruise is flight level 350. So ATC just told us that we could go to 17,000 feet. So let's see if we hit the profile button, and I think that will start us on our next climb. And there it goes. There's our next climb. By the way, your TCAS, if there's airplanes on TCAS, it's going to show up in here, not in the map here. And here comes our climb. And up and away. We have a message. Speed limit exceeded. Yeah, I think we probably got a little bit faster at one point. And as you can see, this airplane climbs like a freaking rocket. There's no other term. Freaking rocket. 6,000 feet per minute. Now, okay, 5,000 right now. That is amazing to me. That's just how powerful these engines are. And how powerful the airplane was. Some airlines, I believe, are still flying this airplane. Okay, there's 10,000 feet. Landing lights going off. Let's do a cabin call. Let our flight crew know that it's sterile cockpit is over. Flight attendants are still in their seats. We've got one more call for them in just a bit. And let's go over here, and it says approach. It's already got us in approach mode. We don't think we want that one. There is our flight plan. I usually will put this in progress mode. You can see we're at Econ Climb. So we're doing a nice climb. Our optimum flight level is 380. We're going to flight level 300. There's an important thing for you to look out for when you do this on Cross the Pond. See where it says fuel prediction? This tells us that it's estimating that we're going to have 3.8, 3.9. Now, while you're climbing out, your estimated fuel on board when you land at your destination, that fluctuates, especially during the climb out. But the number you care about is, come on over here, and that's this thing here. FinRes plus alternate. It's this number right down here. Final reserve fuel, which is contingency and final reserve and your alternate fuel. You need those three in there. And that all those numbers add up to 3.9. And so what you do is you're keeping a close eye on that number right there. Drops below 3.9, you've got a problem. So you don't want to have a problem, because that means you're running out of gas. You're not going to make it. Okay, we're coming up on 17,000 feet. Our progress is probably pretty good. We're clear of the SID, and we are going out. I usually will put this on the world map. It's great for being a tourist. So we're coming out for London. We're going to go by Canterbury. And if we look off to the right on our as we clear the coast, we should see the White Cliffs of Dover. There's 17,000 feet. ATC just called. Climb and maintain flight level 300. Speeding us along our way. How about that? So flight level 300. 300, hit the profile button, and that should continue our climb. Very nice look out over the coast. We're going to make a bit of a turn to the right as we go into Germany. That looks good. Nothing really to worry about here. You change frequencies, so our next frequency is 118.4. Just to, if you've typed it into recall, hit the recall button, and that's all you do. You can type it in from here, and it actually, this radio does work really well, especially in a VATSIM event. I really like it. Passing 19,000 feet. Smooth. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to make a, do the bell sound. Oh, no, bell sound. No smoking, not nose lights. There we go. Cabin crew can get up now. It's nice and smooth. They can get up and start getting the drink carts ready to go. Here is our turnout here. Let's go ahead and go to 60 miles on the map. And DVR is Dover. That's how we'll exit the UK coast. I am using Orbix True Earth. I've got to tell you, the Orbix True Earth, it was absolutely amazing scenery. It really was. It's a little bit heavy on the frame rates in the old X-Plane 11, and I haven't loaded any of that into X-Plane 12. Of course, in Microsoft Flight Simulator, when this airplane shows up on Friday, I'm really pretty excited about this airplane. AnyBuilds makes really great airplanes, and I think this is going to be a good one. Coming up on 25,000 feet. Usually, if there's no turbulence, I'll do seatbelts. But we just let the cabin crew get up, so they're doing their thing. So we'll keep the passengers in their seats just a little bit longer. It does say that the total air temperature is in the icing range. So that's below 10 degrees Celsius. So it does say that we're in the icing range. If we were in clouds, anti-ice would go on. That is a big thing. And if you look over here, anti-ice is right here above the lights. Engine and wing. Passing 29,000 feet. We are 388 miles from our destination. Fuel prediction, 4.9. We're great as far as fuel is concerned. Nothing to worry about here. There is another FMS that you can pop up. So we can come down here. I will usually go and do something along the lines of progress over here. Let's see here. Reference, I forget which we would do. I don't really use two FMCs so much on this airplane, but you can. ATC might call and say, we got to slow it down. We got to slow it down. So the tactical mode, I think that's tactical mode. This is where you would put in a speed change. So they said, traffic ahead, you can't go any faster than Mach 0.79 or something. We are at our final cruise. And we should be coming up on, we're still in climb mode. So we're settling into 30,000 feet. I'm going to go and put us in cruise mode there. And let's see, do we see Dover? Oh, of course there's going to be clouds over the White Cliffs. There they are. Of course we're going to have to see clouds. Simulators. Whenever you've got something really cool to look at, of course, they're going to do that to you. Okay, seatbelts off. As we go out over the channel. So, airplane nicely modeled. We do have a jump seat back here. If you have the door open like I do, you can start, you will hear some cabin sounds. And come on back here. We got a nice door here. We have first class galley over there. Coming on around here. And you've got a nice little entry plaque here for Lufthansa. They did a nice job with that. So I imagine that when we start to get some of the airplanes that come out, here's a nice first class section. And as I mentioned, the aisles are numbered. The seating aisles are numbered. That was the attention to detail in this airplane. So there's first class. I'm going to guess this is biz class. So there is seat A-10. This is usually the one that I will try and book when I can book a seat. This is just basic economy. And we can just walk back. Notice as we get to the rear of the airplane, seats go 2, 3, 2 back here. And then we got a very, very big galley back here. And some storage for flight attendants. And so let's see, how many rows do we have? 29 rows. I think we boarded 212 passengers for today. Let's see, I don't think that you can open the cargo, the overhead bins. The information up here is accurate. We are Lufthansa Flight 441, Heathrow to Frankfurt. We're in A-310. Our time elapsed, we've been going for 15 minutes. Distance to destination, and it shows us landing at 1507 Zulu, which is pretty cool. See, I don't think you can do anything with the seats, but hey, this cabin is so nicely modeled. Wow. And there's another cat. So maybe this isn't business, maybe this is more of an economy plus. And some nice screen back. So there's the Lufthansa screen entertainment system there. They didn't do a very good job with putting coffee machines in there, just saying. Oh, you can open up the bathroom. Got to do a little toilet time, I guess. I don't think that you can flush the toilets in this thing like you can in the FlyJ Sim, but okay. It does make noise when you do that. Not complaining about that at all. And talk about a spacious flight deck. I mean, we've got a really nice flight deck here. Close the door. The overhead panel is absolutely amazing in this airplane. And there we go. So there's our tour. Not so bad. Now then, for top of descent, here is 60 miles. Here's 120 miles. Here is 240. So if you look on in here, as we look in closer, there should be a top of descent hockey stick, and I think it's in here. So I think it's way in here. So we've got about 160 miles from top of descent. So we actually have a little time for cruise. According to Sim Toolkit Pro says we've just cleared the channel. Our estimated flight time en route is 30 minutes. So we got a little bit of time to fly here. And let's see, so top of descent, it shows us not doing our descent until we get over here, way over in here near Wiesbaden. This is going to be one of those racetrack types of approaches, which is, you know, so many airplanes and so little airspace. So we'll go ahead and just do a couple of things here. We're going to clear that out. We're coming in on the UNOKO. So UNOKO here at D104. I think it's going to put us over. I think we're going on the southern route on this one to DF626. Then at DF626, we'll do some vectors and come on in. We want to be about 4,000 feet there for our final plunge altitude. We'll set minimums and everything else. And right now, I think Lufthansa is parking over here on Terminal 1. So we would come over here to Terminal 1 in here and grab one of the Alpha gates. And so that's kind of our plan. But we got a little bit of cruise time to do here. So one of the things that I usually do is there's not a whole lot to say at the moment. So rather than make you sit and listen to me yammer, I will look to see you about 50 miles from top of descent. How's that sound? So I'm going to hit pause on the video. You hit pause on the video. When your airplane's at 50 miles from top of descent, hit unpause on the video on YouTube, and we'll do our arrival into beautiful Frankfurt. Welcome back to the Friendly Sim Skies. I hope your flight is going well, and it's good to see you. I know it was just a few seconds for you, but, well, maybe just a few seconds, sort of, in a way. Anyway, welcome back. We don't need to worry about the time-space continuum. It's kind of hard to see. Your best indication of your top of descent in this old bird is going to be your top of descent hockey stick, which is this little thing right here. Hockey stick is a term that Captain Mike Ray came up with, and that's the first time I ever heard about that. And Captain Ray did books about Boeings and Airbuses as a former retired United captain. And they're actually pretty good, so definitely suggest those. We need to get ready on our approach. We are about ready to start our descent into Frankfurt. The only thing that I've really done since we've been gone is I did go over here and get the latest METAR, and for me, winds are 190 at 9. Right now we've got good visibility. There's broken clouds at 2,900, and it's overcast at 3,700. 14 degrees, the dew point's 9. We don't have fog on the ground, and our altimeter setting is going to be 1015. So all of that looks really pretty good. Briefing the approach like the real pilots like to do at UNOKO. We'll continue our approach in. I did verify the flight plan. We're actually going to be on the northern transition here. So at DF401, we kind of come on out here. And at DF416, we get vectors down to DF626. And DF626 is right here. We want to be around 4,000 feet here. But we need to be at 4,000 feet at Lead Key. So Lead Key is the final plunge altitude for us here. Inbound course is going to be 247 degrees. The ILS frequency 111.15. And minimums for a Category 1 approach coming on in is going to be about 562 feet. So we got a few things that we need to set up for our approach here as we get closer. Now then, newer Airbuses, one of the things is you can preset your descent altitude, but you've got to press the button Oh, might help. What happened to... Oh, something doesn't work. The camera disconnected. Okay, the camera disconnected. Well, let's just go like this. I don't know why the camera disconnected. So, a technical difficulty here. Well, we really need to continue coming on down here and do our thing, because the airplane is not going to wait for us to fix cameras and stuff. So I tried to turn it off. We'll try and restart it. Top of descent hockey stick here is, we're about 45, 50 miles out. Now then, look up here. You see these things? P-speed, programmed altitude. See, they're in green. That's what's active right now. We know that we need to descend to about 4,000 feet. And in fact, ATC just gave us a call and said, listen, you can descend to 4,000 feet at pilot's discretion. So let's go ahead and I'm going to dial in 4,000 feet right now. Now, in a newer Airbus, you will actually have to press the button for a managed descent. The older Airbuses, you can arm a descent. You could actually arm it and have it do that for you. And so I suggest that you probably do that here. Now, this is a little unusual, but you see over here between speed and altitude, my pointer. Okay, watch what happens when I move my pointer. It's going to get harder to see as the sun comes around, but there's my pointer. Watch as I go and move it closer. Oh, that helped out. Thank you. So watch what happens as I move it closer to the altitude knob. You see how the down arrow there? Click it once, and now look over here, and nothing happened. Let's try it again. Whoops. Try it again. Uh-oh. It's not working. Why are you not working for me? It used to be able, we could arm it if we clicked that there, and it would go to P altitude. It's not doing it. Well, there's a surprise and a shock. And let's see if the cameras will reset itself while we're fixing that too. That's a little interesting. Okay, it's not my my mouse. So we're in profile, and it did not indicate. So what happens in some other Airbuses is it says P descent enunciates in blue down here. And when that, hey, good to see you, I fixed that problem. So that shows up there. I'm not seeing that right now. So we are going to have to press our own buttons. Imagine that. We've got to work. So what are some other things we can do? We could set our minimums. Our minimums are going to be 526. So decision height, I'm going to set that to just, what is it? It's 200 feet. So we can do that, or we can do the baro altitude. I'm kind of finding it easier to just set a decision height of 200, 300, whatever it is. That really kind of helps out. How are we doing here? Getting closer. So if we have to do these things manually, I always like to keep my map, making it smaller and smaller so I can keep a close eye on that descent hockey stick there. Okay, so that looks good too. Now then, we do need to set our own ILS and course on this. So the ILS again is 111.15. The inbound course is 247 degrees. So let's set it 111.15. 15. There we go. And the inbound course is 247. 247. 247. There we go. So we're all good to go there. Last thing that I've been kind of keeping an eye on is our fuel. And if we look over here, it says estimated fuel on board. It's actually been going down because our optimum flight level has been going up. So we could have actually done a step climb to flight level 370, which is the closest, and we would have increased our fuel efficiency here. That's a number that if you're going, when you fly this thing over on across the pond or something like that, you absolutely positively have to keep an eye on. Otherwise, things get nasty. We are now 20 miles from our top of descent hockey stick there. Let's go over here and do the approach. Passenger signs. Well, they're not set yet, but they will be in a little bit. We really have done our briefing. The only other things to brief on the approach, and briefing is both pilots know, what's going on. So we're going to come in on runway 25 left. After we exit runway 25 left, there's 25 left, we've got several options. I'm usually able to get this M21 and M23. So it's a high speed right here. M28 and Lima back to November 7. November 7 takes us on in here. This is our gate area. We are going to probably go for Alpha 20 or 22, somewhere in this area for a bigger Airbus. Okay, so that's going to be our approach there. Oh, look at this. You can see we've already started to show up here on our on the star. So that looks pretty good too. How are we doing here? Here comes our top of descent hockey stick. We're getting even closer. I'm surprised it wouldn't let me go ahead and do this. Used to do that. I don't know what changed. Maybe I did something wrong. Probably nothing changed. It's me. Okay, so 4,000 feet. All this looks good. Another thing to do with this airplane is you see how the pointer changes to a little finger? Just push that every now and then. That resets your heading to whatever your heading is. In case you have to take over from LNAV and the flight management computer has a nutty, which, never happens. Never, ever, ever. Copy. Okay. So here we are. We're coming up. We are now getting even closer. So one more click. There's 15-mile range. And you can see we're coming up on 5. I usually like to click it when it gets halfway between the airplane and 5 miles. And that's when we will start the descent. And I believe to do this, all we're going to do is hit the profile button. And that should descend us on our profile. Hopefully, that's the theory. It is really easy to get kind of rusty on some of these airplanes. Okay, that's close enough. So let's hit the profile button, see what happens. Profile. Okay, vertical deviation has just appeared. And you can see we're starting to go down. So it's spooled back the engines a little bit. We were a little bit quick on this. So our vertical deviation's a little bit high, but I'm sure that we're going to catch up. Let's go ahead and make the map a little bit bigger now. And that looks pretty good. How about 30 miles? That's going to be great. We're going to keep an eye out for our vertical deviation to start to catch up with us. And let's see. Let's do signs. Passenger signs are on. So our descent checklist. Signs are set. Briefing has been done ad nauseum. ECAM status. We've checked that. The ECAM is in very nice condition. The only thing is total air temperature remains in the icing range. We get in some clouds, engine anti-ice. Altimeters. We have not set our altimeters. We do know that the altimeter is 1015. Transition altitude in this part of the world is, I believe, it's 6,000 feet around Frankfurt. 6,000 feet, yeah. So 5,000 or 6,000 feet. So we know what that's going to be. Minimums are set. Ignition, we need to go to ignition to continuous start if we've got rain in the area. Right now, there's no rain in the area. And our landing elevation has been set. That checklist is complete. We may need to change a couple of frequencies in here, but all else is good. The real pilots would have done what I call run through the ECAM. It's a little bit awkward in this airplane. So there's the buttons there, but you would have hit the engine button. You would have hit the hydraulic button. You would have gone through, and every 30 minutes, I believe, is what Airbus pilots do. If you look here on the Econ descent and go to fuel prediction, we're still in good shape. Not bad. Not bad at all. We're 104 miles from our destination. vertical deviation, we're still a little bit deviant right now, but you can see we're starting to, the number's getting smaller. So if the number's getting a little bit smaller, I'm going to guess that that's probably just fine for us. We can go, and there is, if you go to the flight ops menu, there is a landing performance. So we can go and do EDDF, enter. We can find our runway, which is going to be 25 left. 25 left. FMC data, we can go and input that. That gives us our landing rate. We can request the ATIS. And what this is going to do is give us how much of the runway we need to land. I think this also is going to give us some nice speeds. Configuration, I'm going to do auto brakes low, reverse idle, and 30 and 40 flaps so we can compute. And it should tell us, I believe it's going to do this in meters. Yes, meters. So landing distance, 1,906 meters is what we need. VAP is going to be 134. So all of this is good. That information just shows up. This is for you. You don't put this over into the computer. So I'm going to go from this EFB. We're going to go back to checklists so that this checklist is right there for us. How are we doing? Not so bad. Passing 26,000 feet. How's our vertical deviation? Look at this. It's now down to about 350 feet. So we're really getting close to our where we're supposed to be. 25,000 feet. I'm going to go ahead and ring the bell. Flight attendants, in your seats. Oh, look at that. And the vertical deviation meter is starting to go down too. This airplane does have terrain radar. It is pretty flat around Frankfurt. We got a couple of towers and a small hill that's 2,000 feet above sea level as we come on in. So there's that tower and 3,000 foot tower. So it's on a little hill outside of town. That's probably the television transmitters and stuff. So probably we won't worry about that so much. The terrain radar in this airplane works. It's just a little bit annoying. It's old. It's good to have if we were coming into Paro, going into Innsbruck. You bet, absolutely. But it's still relatively flat here. All of this looks good. We've caught up with our vertical deviation. I'm going to go to the takeoff and approach page. We are going to do flaps 30 and 40, so 30 degrees on the leading edge slats, 40 degrees on the flaps. It shows our VAP speed is 134 knots. So that's going to be full flaps landing. We are now in clouds. What's the temperature outside the airplane? -1. We got some wispy little clouds here. We may need to be worried. If we get more clouds, we're going to go turn on engine anti-ice. Nothing to worry about here. Nothing to worry about there. I think we're in good shape. What could possibly go wrong, right? We are definitely in clouds. Better safe than, I'm going to do engine anti-ice. I had one instance in the old 757 where I didn't do that and the airplane just flat out fell out of the sky. So I take anti-ice kind of seriously. Let's see, we're going to probably have to do some vectors here, so I'm going to reset my heading, and our heading is now reset as we come on in. Vertical deviation is right where we're supposed to be. It is a very happy airplane. We'll go ahead and run through the whole approach procedure, but these little racetrack approaches like this are designed to help speed you through speed you ahead or slow you down, depending upon how heavy traffic is coming into an airport. And there are a lot of these little racetrack approaches like this. And so if all of a sudden, there's a gap in here, but I've got a bunch of controllers got airplanes behind me, as we come on up here, they may tell us to go direct to DF 624. And move us up forward a little bit. if they need to slow us down in there, they might make us do the whole thing. And because there's a little brake for vectors here, so they could have us go out a little bit beyond that too. So that's how the controllers are going to go ahead and move you forward and back in the line. And everything looks pretty nice here coming around Frankfurt. Definitely, if I ever get to do some traveling in Europe, this is one of the destinations for sure. 18,000 feet, we're looking pretty good according to vertical deviation. Now it says we're getting a little bit high. So we may have to throw out a little bit of speed brake here. There's speed brakes going up. Let's see if this helps us catch up with our deviation. I think we're also a little bit fast at this point in time too. Do we have some speed restrictions coming up here? Not really. So we're descending faster. We're at about 300 knots. I would like to maybe start thinking about slowing down a bit. There, now our vertical deviation's catching back up. Oh, wow, look at all that great scenery. We're out of the UK area right now, so the scenery that I have here in X-Plane outside of the UK, this is all ortho scenery. And you really using ortho scenery can make can make X-Plane look pretty good. It still looks like X-Plane, but it's still, you can actually make it look pretty good if you want to. I'm going to do another reset on my heading bug. Looking good there. Passing 15,000 feet. As we continue to go past this, we're just going to go and vector out a little bit and then come on back in. There's 14,000 feet, seat belts. Can't think of any trouble to get into right now. One of the things that I really do like about, okay, now we've passed vertical deviation. So let's go ahead and put those speed brakes back down and see what happens there. I'm going to go and switch over to level change. And this way I can go and start slowing the airplane down. So let's go to 240. And our speed is coming down too, so that's good news there. We're going to go ahead and take it out of nav mode soon. And let's see, we're at 30 miles. 30 miles is probably pretty good. Yeah, let's maybe do 15. There's 15 miles. So DF 626. That's the beginning of our run toward the runway here. Our speed is indeed coming down. We're at about 250. 13,000 feet. High traffic area. I'm going to go and make myself a little bit more visible. So I'm doing things a little bit early. Landing lights a little bit early is not going to, get a visit. You're not going to get visited by the landing light police. Boy, I understand you were turning on your landing lights 2,000 feet before you needed them. It's a very serious problem. We're going to have to take you in for questioning, son. I do that a little bit too well. I should stop. Okay, we're going to go ahead now, and I'm going to go to heading select. Heading select as we exit the star. And let's go ahead and make a right turn 90 degrees. And how about 130? Let's see how we're doing there. Around we go. 11,000 feet. We're 240 knots. We're perfect. We're not going to get a speeding ticket. Vertical deviation is happy. So my deviant sense of humor is not getting us into trouble at this point. There is our entry into the approach, 130. I'm giving myself just a little bit of room here so we can make some nice gentle turns. I think with these bigger jets at 240 knots and above, a nice little gentle turn like this is really a good idea. Okay, let's go ahead and continue our turn around here. And let's go for the that runway, that ILS entry into the runway. So there's 170, we're going to about 187. There is DF 626. And if you look at over here on the chart, we're kind of loop-de-looping around to come on into the runway. When you're doing a practice flight like this, you know, taking your extra time, you know, ATC is going to move you faster up in line to get you through the process quickly. You know, they're going to do those sorts of things. But if you can, give yourself a few opportunities to take your time like this, and that helps out really pretty good. Okay, there's our turn into the runway. Nice turn. Let's keep it going. I'm also going to go ahead and activate the ILS system. And this should be just about it. I overturned a little, I underturned a little bit here. So let's go 10 degrees beyond. Let's do 20 degrees beyond. So 270, and that's going to put us on the intercept. Looking good. Direct 620, how about direct DF 625? Let's see what happens here. So direct to DF 625 and insert that, and then we'll go back to nav and let it do some of the work for us. Especially coming into VATSIM in Frankfurt or any place in Germany, this is some of the these are some of the most crowded skies you're going to find in VATSIM. Using the autopilot to help you out because, you know, we're all alone here. You know, I don't have a co-pilot to change frequencies or anything. So this really does help out. Okay, things are looking good. We're direct to DF 626. We do not have glide slope and localizer yet, but we do know that it's dialed in. So that's good to go too. I'm going to go back over here to takeoff and approach. ATC just called to slow it down to 210 knots, which is about normal for now. So we'll slow it down to 210, coming down to 4,000 feet. Let's make sure that airspeed indicator's going down. It is. There's 240. And then at that point, we can start to slow out some flaps and slats. Come on over here. Auto brakes, we're going to do, we said auto brakes low, and we're going to arm those speed brakes. Those are good to go too. We now have glide slope and localizer. We are 29 miles out. How about that? Next checklist is going to be landing checklist. I got the airport, I got the runway. We've got some airport lights showing up here. How about that? Very nice to have runway lights. Speed's coming down. How about some slats and flaps? So keep a close eye here on those leading edge slats. Let's see if we see them move. There's one click. Yeah, they are moving very, very slowly. You see it's kind of moving here a little bit. So they are actually moving. They're just moving very slow at this point. Okay, things are looking good here. We are 25 miles out. Looks like we're going to hit that 4,000 feet just fine. So everything's looking good to go here. One thing I'm sure at some point they do, have a quick look over here at the brake accumulator pressure. Make sure that that's in the green zone. And by the way, this probably looks familiar because this same gauge is what you'll find in the Airbus A319, 20, and 21 series. So that was a carryover from the old Airbuses. We're still looking pretty good. We're descending a little bit fast right now. I think that's probably okay at the moment. Here comes our altitude. We are 21 miles out. We'll keep it up to about 210 until about 20 miles out. And then we'll go to 180 and gear and some more flaps. There's 20 miles. I'm going to go to 180. 180. Looking good. How about landing gear? Landing gear lever works really well with the Thrustmaster Airbus stuff. And how about another notch of flaps? Love this, the old sound, the old sound on these. I mean, it really sounds like there is a motor that's just stressed out badly. All right, we're looking pretty good here. We are now 18 miles. I usually like to wait till I get between 20 and 15 miles before I will activate an approach. Some ILSs are a little dodgy that way. You know, maybe there's some sort of obstruction of the signal, or it's not very powerful. So before right now we're doing just fine. But I usually like to wait until I'm about 15 before I like to hit auto land or landing buttons and stuff. Over here on my Navigraph charts, we're really looking good. So because I am super duper busy, this is where I'm going to go and set it up so that I can see what my taxi route's going to be. So there's M21, M23. We're going to go for one of those two. And then I set it right off to the side. If you are on VATSIM and you know that there is ground control, the minute they hit you over to tower and you have a second, plug in your ground control, because you don't have time to be tuning frequencies while you're taxiing. All you need is to just be able to press a button. Okay, there's 15 miles. I'm going to hit the land button now. Land is now activated. And at this point in time, they're probably going to say 180 knots until 5 miles DME for runway 25 left. VAP again is going to be 133. I add more to that. Let's call it 140. 135 to 140. Wow, nice stable approach. Famous last words. Okay, this is a good time if you have a second. If you get comfortable in your chair for landing, now's the time to go. Sit up so that you can put your feet on your rudder pedals. Last sip of coffee before you're going to land. And there we are. We just snagged the glide slope. We are 10-mile finals. Landing checklist. Landing gear is down, auto brakes are set. Gear is down, auto brakes are low. Speed brakes are active. Anti-skid is checked. Slats and flaps are not out yet. And there's everything on that one. Here we are coming up on FF25 left. And that should be about 5 miles DME. Flight attendants, prepare for landing. We are out of the icing zone, right? 26 degrees, holy cats, yeah. Turn off the anti-ice. There is FF25L. And we are 7 miles DME. It appears to be a hazy day here in Frankfurt as we come on in. This is the usual gray stuff that you see in X-Plane. It's always kind of gray and dingy. They do the clouds incredibly well. So it gets really gray. I can't wait to fly this airplane in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's going to look really good. Okay, there we go. 5 miles DME. VAP again, 133. I'm going to make it 140. 140 for landing. There goes my speed. 140 and another notch of flaps. I'm still letting the airplane do the business. By now we just got handed over for tower. I've just put in my ground control frequency. I'm continuing to roll my flaps out there. And then one of the last things that I'm going to do before I take off the autopilot, I'm going to look down here at my wind and see what my wind's doing. We have a slight tailwind. Gently put your hand on the stick. Autopilot is off. Captain's got the airplane. You might have to hit it a second time if it's yelling at you. Descending a little bit too fast. The newer Airbuses, when you take off the autopilot, it just kind of floats along like nothing ever happened. This and like the 737, you kind of have to adjust your controls a bit. There we go. You can also use trim to help you out a little bit too. Hands over on the throttles.
Flight slow, 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 flight slow.
Well, those trees were a little bit high. Quit yelling at me. Reverse. Idle reverse. Auto brakes off, manual braking, stow the reversers, and there is the taxiway we thought we were going to get off on. Perfect. Welcome to Frankfurt. Speed brakes down. And we can start putting up the flaps, particularly in the wintertime. You're going to do flaps up off the runway because you don't want to get a bunch of snow and ice. And we're going to go over at November 10. So gentle turn around here. And this is M24 to the November 10 in Lima. There's the control tower. We do have one runway to cross over. So especially on VATSIM, super duper important. Don't be crossing a runway until they say you can cross 25 center. Crossing runway 25 center. Landing lights. We're off the, about ready to clear the runway. And turn over here. Off the runway. I'm going to go ahead and do strobes off now. We're also going to turn off decision height and the landing systems. Although really, I think mostly, except for putting up flaps, putting down speed brakes, they're concentrating on the taxi. Let's go ahead and take Lima in. This is a really nice, I think this is the Aerosoft, I believe. And we've got hot brakes, must be an Airbus. Turn on the brake fans. Let's also look up here and flip on the APU power. Although I believe in Europe, when you're coming in, you're not doing the APU. You're going to wait until they hook you up to ground power so that you're not sitting there with the APU spinning around. That is fuel savings and also not putting out a bunch of exhaust. So it's environmental. I'm going to go ahead and start mine just right now. Okay, we are now looking for November 7. And that says November 8 at Lima. So November 7 is going to be the next one. Seeing the little signs in Flight Simulator, the taxiway signs are kind of hard. Looking at paint on the ground like this is a lot easier. So the only thing we've got is brake temperature. Everything else is good to go on the airplane. There's November 7. So November 7 is right over here. See, it looks like we have a maximum wingspan here. Oh, I turned beyond the little red line. I turned too soon. The November 7 police are going to get me. Oh, maybe I should have done November 8. That's a building in front of us. So we're going to have to do a jump to the left and a step to the right as we come around here. I'm going to just go down here. We'll clear that annunciator problem. APU is up. Everything else is in good shape. Yeah, we're going to kind of come around here and loop around in here. Yeah, well, it even says November 7, so I guess they've kind of got you going over a little bit, maybe for some parking. There's a big Lufthansa tower hangar. Beyond that is Lufthansa cargo. So always look over there. Wave to Inga and Claudia from the YouTube videos on the MD-11. I am doing thrust idle taxi right now. This is absolutely perfect for being in the gate area. Okay, and as we come around here, there is gates. I think that they probably do like more CRJs and maybe A319s closest to us. So we need to go in just a little bit more for a bigger gate area. But following November 7 around, all of this is looking pretty good. This is, again, a really nice airport. Certainly want to thank you for flying with us here today. Can't wait to fly this. So the plan right now is we're supposed to get the Microsoft version of this on finally Friday. So we'll be flying this probably all weekend on the spy flight over on Twitch. And then we'll also I'll also do a follow-up YouTube a week from today on the new airplane. If, of course, it comes out, I'm hoping it is. All right, there is A24. Let's go for A20. And just like you'd expect, well, there's A22. Let's do A22. We'll grab this one instead. APU is already up and running. And of course, ground traffic in the flight simulator is all over the freaking place. All right, Happy Pappy over on the spy flight always says, be nice to the ground crew. Don't blind them with your nose taxi light. We do have gate guidance going in. This is something that's really nice to have. So there's our gate guidance up there. It's already spotted that we're an A310. Slightly off to the side. And then it gives us meters, 90 meters, 80 meters, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. Pretty cool. Parking brakes. And APU is already up and running. So we're going to go ahead and do our engines almost immediately. The APU generator's up. We will flip on the APU bleed. The beacon can go off. Let's also go ahead and we're going to do the fuel pumps right now. One of the things we should have also done as we were coming in is also do probe heaters so the ground crew doesn't get burned. We're also going to disarm the emergency exit lights. Seat belts can go off too. Outside we go. Now, one of the cool things that we have here at this airport is this is one of those sceneries that has what's called the SAM scenery manager. And so what we can do is we can come over here and click gates. And what this will do is this is going to go and get our gates, and both of our jetways are going to come out to our doors. Oh, wait a minute. I don't have an extra door here. What are you doing? No, not on this airplane. Let's go ahead and not do this one. No. We're not going to do that. I thought we had a mid-cabin door. This thing thinks we have a mid-cabin door. Okay, that's going to look funky. Nope, we don't have a mid-cabin door here, but it thinks we do. Okay, let's go ahead and get rid of that. That looks bad. Okay, so we've got that one. Now we can come on in here. We can go to the EFB, and we can go to Ground Ops, go over to Ground Services, Chocks, External Power, and so that's going to be good for us there. Return, exits. Now then, here's the thing about this airplane. Be sure and disarm doors and stuff. You can already see that the 1L door is open, so that's pretty good. So back to Ground Services, we'll do the loaders, and how about that? All of this is pretty good, and we made it. Nobody was hurt, nobody was arrested. How about that? I think that this is going to be an absolutely outstanding airplane when it finally comes to Microsoft Flight Simulator on Friday. So ground power is available. We're going to come over here and we're going to pop in the external power here. So external power is going to pop in too. You can see the pitch trim, yaw dampers, and auto thrust systems. All of these have gone off except for this one. We'll just flip that one off too. Window heat, we're done with those for a while, so we're going to be nice and shut that down. And we're going to leave the APU up and running because that's going to provide a little bit of ventilation. And we'll leave the logo lights on. And everything's looking pretty good. Come on over here. We can open the door. Gee, Captain, that was one of the best landings in the world. You're just rocking and rolling this thing, aren't you? And what was my landing rate here? What was my landing rate? Oh, no, that's not landing rate. Oh, well, I said it. I have to show it. Minus 459. Terrible. Let's go ahead and complete this flight. And while we're doing this, we can kind of come out here, and we should have a jetway. Jetways don't match quite like they used to, like they're matching over in X-Plane, but they're pretty good. So let's go out like this. You know what we can do in X-Plane? Let's go to Flight, toggle Replay, and let's come on over here. Now it is going to show you with all the doors and stuff open. It's just going to do that sort of thing. It looks a little funky. That was a nice landing. I am so looking forward to this airplane coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Hey, thank you so much for flying along with me. I hope that you enjoyed this. I can't wait to fly this flight with you in Microsoft Flight Simulator on Friday. As always with my YouTube videos, not about the right way versus the wrong way. This is just what is working for me. I hope you'll join me over on X-Plane. Over on Twitch, I mean. I will look forward to seeing you on Twitch TV. We do group flights all the time. In the meantime, thank you so much for flying along. Stay healthy, stay safe, and see you in the friendly sim skies.